Hello to all of you. My name is Trent Atkins. I am a professor in the Department of Teaching and Learning, formerly the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, and I am also the accreditation director for the teaching and learning area. And this video is to introduce you to a uh, a new portfolio project that we're engaging in. It's called Applied Research and Reflective Practice. All of you have been added to a Moodle shell where you're going to find some information. Okay, and I'm going to give you just a little bit of background about why we're doing this, and then I'm going to walk you through what's on the Moodle shell. Okay, so over the last decade, there's been a real push for teachers to demonstrate that they are effective in teaching, and also in our field of preparing teachers to be teachers, we are increasingly being asked to show the candidates that graduate from our program are also effective. Okay, so this is a concept that maybe on the surface doesn't seem super complicated or that big of a deal, but it is a real transition for our field. So the big idea here is that we need to know if teachers have the skills, knowledge, and dispositions to be effective in teaching particular areas of content and skills to their students. So over the years, we've brainstormed various ways of doing this, and we came to the decision that we would revamp our portfolio that I don't know. I've been here 14 years. I'm guessing it's been around for 25 years or so. So we decided we would revamp it and create a product and a process where during your student teaching you engage in this activity where at the end of it you can demonstrate that you are an effective educator. That being said, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but you're not going to be graded on whether you were effective or not. What we're looking for is that you have the ability to develop a lesson or a unit or just a strategy that should be effective, whether it is or not, and then also involved in that is also being reflective. So we want you to put in place something that should be effective, and then reflect on why or why not it was or was not effective. So we're hoping that this is we do not want this to feel like hoop jumping. We want this to be very meaningful. We believe this process is something that you will be able to use throughout your teaching career. We all face issues that are difficult for us, and from there we need to be able to access a literature base or a knowledge base to find strategies that should work, and then be able to test whether those strategies worked or not. So in a nutshell, that's what we're after here. We think this is a more meaningful product that you'll be developing here. So you might want to pause the video and go to Moodle, and when you get to Moodle, you should be listed in a course called Applied Research and Reflective Practice. Okay? So now that you're there, and you open that up, and if you're not there, please get in touch with me and or your advisor. My email is trent.atkins, A-T as in Tom, K-I-N-S, at umontana.edu. And we'll get that figured out. So once you open this, the first thing you're going to see is a frequently asked questions link. What we're asking you to do there is post general questions that we can answer for everyone who is student teaching. So That's the purpose of that. Before you do that, you should talk to your advisor about the question, and then if it needs to go to this more public forum, we can do that, and I will answer it there, or maybe someone else will, but we'll get your questions answered. There are 3 questions that are up from last semester. So this is the second semester we're doing this. Last semester it was just for elementary students, and now we're doing it with almost all of our candidates in student teaching. Okay. The next item that you will see is the portfolio rubric. You already have this, but it's posted there for you to look at, and it is quite comprehensive, and really that's where you're going to find all the details and the details of the expectations. Okay. Second, you're going to this is only a 1-pager, but it is a kind of a step-by-step description of the process, okay, of what we're asking you to do. So if you read over that, and then I'm just going to drop down to about the middle and the components of the applied research paper. So what we're asking you to do is to either submit a paper, or there are other ways you can do this, but you need to address this with your advisor, submitting a paper, or a lot of folks ask candidates to use a blog. That's not a problem. That's fine to use that. Actually, I think that's really cool and a nice way to go. Probably the biggest issue is to make sure that we can access that and that we can save it for the future. Okay, so we're asking you to introduce an issue. So the issue is anything that you come across that you're struggling with. We know a lot of students struggle with classroom management. We've done a lot to address that, and we just know that is an ongoing issue with students. We've added courses, and my personal take on that is just the toughest part of teaching. And there's a good chance you're going to struggle with that for several years into your teaching career. But if that's something that's causing you the biggest issue that you would like to address, that's something to research. Okay. Then we're asking you to also review the literature for a proposed strategy. So you've identified an issue that you would like to address. Now we're asking you to get into the research literature to identify some articles that give you evidence-based practices that you could use to address your issue. Okay. And then the next component is that you need to assess the student's knowledge or skills, or even the environment where you're going to implement this particular strategy. So there needs to be a description of what is the assessment that you used to do a pre and a post test. In a nutshell, pre and post testing, you assess something, you implement a strategy, and then you assess it again to see if there's a difference between the pre and the post test. That's what we're asking you to do. And we need a description of the assessment you used. That could be something your teacher already uses. That could be something that's embedded in a curriculum that you have. But it could also be something that you have found that you would like to use. It could also potentially be something that you would develop. Okay, so, and then the next step or the next component is a description of the results. What did you find out? How did it go? And then finally, we're asking that you reflect on the overall process. As a faculty, we've talked about this, and we're asking you in this portfolio to reflect on this particular process. And for now, that's not the only thing we want you to reflect on. Student teaching is such a huge experience in your entire career. There may be years you don't remember after you taught for 30 years, but you're probably going to remember your student teaching experience. And it's something that we want and need you to reflect on. And we believe that can happen also with your advisor, your university, advisor, but also your university supervisor and your cooperating teacher. So don't think that we're belittling the value and power of reflection of the overall process. This reflective piece is just for this particular this particular intervention that you'll be doing. Okay, so that is an overview. I'm going to jump into the steps of the process quickly. What we're wanting you to do is around halfway. You know, there's pretty broad parameters. This is that's when we want you to identify the issue. We don't want you to identify the issue right away, but to learn you know, the context in which you're working. But approximately halfway through, identify the issue, and we're wanting you to videotape. Make sure you have the clearances. You should. I mean, the videotaping is not a new aspect of this, actually, but make sure you have the appropriate permissions to video to document the issue that you're going to address. Okay. And then, as I've already described, you'll review the literature and find things that should work in this context. Once again, this is a very important process that we hope you use throughout your career. And then after conducting a pre-test, then you're going to implement the strategy, and we would like to see you record the implementation of the strategy also. And then after that, you would conduct the post-test to determine the effectiveness of your strategy. And then the final step in that process is writing up the results and reflecting on how things went and why you think they went the way they did. So we believe this is a pretty straightforward process. However, we know you're going to have questions. So as I stated, talk with your advisor first, and if you and your advisor or just you would like to talk with me, I'm happy to talk with you. Please use the frequently asked question board as often as you would like. Ironically, last year, just to give you a little picture, very few people ask questions. That could be good and that could be bad. But we want you to ask questions. You know, you're always going to be learning, and this is a exciting thing. Many of us on the faculty here do a lot of research, and it's really it's an exciting part of our job. And you know, you get to find things out. And that's what we're asking you to do. Find something out that helps you be a better teacher, and this process will serve you well. So congratulations on being where you are in your educational process of student teaching. It's going to be exciting, it's going to be challenging, but give yourself a little pat on the back and work hard, and we'll see you on the other end of this. So be in touch if you have any questions. Thank you.